Hey there, welcome into another edition of What Barrie's Talking About from Barrie 360. I'm Dan Blakely. You've been thinking about an electric vehicle and have lots of questions? We went to CAA to get a few answers you might find helpful. One of the nice things about them is they're quiet. Unlike some of the cars that have been breaking the silence of the night in Barrie, we had a chat with Barrie Police about that. The Barrie Families Unite Facebook page started out as a way for people to connect during the pandemic, but it's become a driving force in matching people in need with the services they require. But first, Springwater Township has become the first in Simcoe County to adopt a 4-day work week. Monday to Thursday for some, Tuesday to Friday for others, a little bit longer day for everyone in exchange for a 3-day weekend. Barrie 360's Ian McLennan caught Mayor Don Allen on one of his in-days.
This was a pilot project launched in April initially, and why was this step taken, to give this a test?
Well, we had some interest from some of the staff, and our Chief Administrative Officer, Jeff Schmidt, did some research of other municipalities. We had been having some challenges attracting top talent, resources, as companies are experiencing. All of those reasons led us to look into this and initiate this pilot program.
How much was a factor of the pandemic play in terms of people that were working, remotely during the worst of the crisis, and how much was that a factor in making this decision to explore 4-day work week?
It was a factor, definitely, because people we had a system of rotating, working from home, and being in the office, and so that started us looking into different work arrangements. So it was a factor.
And the township did a lot of surveying of both employees and residents. From the residents component, people seemed to find that, the services, there was really no disruption to what was occurring on a 5-day work week, just at 4 days instead.
Yes, but another important feature is that we did increase the township, once we could open up the township again, offices, we did increase those from 8:30 to 5:30 to allow people to leave work and come and visit the township administrative offices if they wanted to have an appointment. So it afforded more time for them to do that. So that was positive.
And tell us some of the feedback you got from you as a municipality, got back from employees in terms of the benefits of this 4-day work week.
We did a survey, as you said, of the staff, as well as the residents, as well as council, and the staff. It has resulted in a very positive impact in their work life and morale in the workplace amongst their colleagues. They noted that it's provided more flexibility to pursue personal interests, business, and spend time with family and friends. And they feel they've saved money on commuting to and from work.
I guess the only hiccup, if you like, was the factor, some challenges around childcare. Is there any way the municipality can assist that way?
We don't get into childcare in the municipality, but just having this move of going to a 4-day work week and having the hours that we do have is in fact helping to some extent with childcare as compared to what it was like pre-pandemic.
Now, of those who did not participate in the pilot, 50% said they would reconsider should 4-day work week become permanent. Now it is. Are you expecting more employees, more staff to take advantage of this?
Yes, I think when they see that it has been accepted by council and is permanently in place, I think more of the people who weren't on it will definitely explore possibilities of going on to it. But we're not forcing people, so some won't, but certainly the majority are very happy to and are very pleased with it. And we've found that productivity has increased, morale has increased, and people are contacting us to say, are there jobs available in the township? So that's good.
That 4-day work week is a critical component?
It's an important component, right. Yes. It certainly, we're a bit of a trailblazer in this. There are not too many in Simcoe County. I think we're the only one in Simcoe County, but as I said, there are other municipalities in Ontario and in Canada that have done it or are looking to do it.
And so you're a big booster of it, obviously.
Yes, no, I'm quite supportive of it.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I appreciate your time.
Thanks for your time and interest.
Don Allen is mayor of the Township of Springwater. Born at the start of the pandemic to help residents connect, the Barrie Families Unite Facebook page continues to evolve to meet the growing needs of the community, everything from helping find seasonal clothing for those in need to offering crisis support. Barrie 360's MJ got an update from Barrie Families Unite founder Nikki Glann, who's holding an open house soon for community leaders to get to know the group better.
The open house coming up is just a great chance for our agency to really showcase what we have been up to. Our inception was via the beginning of COVID and a grassroots Facebook group. So we feel like there's a lot of misunderstanding potentially out there on what we are and who we are. So we are way more than just a Facebook group now, and we're looking forward to the opportunity to showcase that to our leaders here in our city, to whether that be in the city council roles, in the school board roles, other agencies we collaborate with. We're looking forward to being able to show them what we get up to 6 days a week here, every day in our community.
How have you guys evolved? I know you're very active in supporting like grocery drives and clothing drives. Sort of, tell me just a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I mean, our vision for our NPO is that we believe that in a community such as Barrie, every citizen should have judgment-free access to the essential items required for them to live a healthy life. So we do that through supporting our lower-income neighbors with grocery gap support. We are a big agency that helps distribute, fund, and deliver the Good Food Box program that is run by Urban Pantry. We're delivering those to our low-income neighbors, getting them some fresh produce every month. We do seasonal clothing support and situational crisis aid for people going through those little blips in time where they need some extra support, getting their household started again, for example, if they've fled an abusive situation or they're transitioning from a shelter to their own home and need some of those items to get them started again. Our warehouse is inventoried with linens and pots and pans and all those wonderful things to get people set up again.
If people want to access those services, how do they go about it by getting help from the BFU?
So there's two ways you can access us. We do allow self-referrals, and that is accessible via our website, barriefamiliesunite.com. But we're also finding a lot of our clients are coming to us from other agencies. So we're starting to see more referrals come through our system that are coming from different community partners such as the Gilbert Center or the Busby Center, Salvation Army, Catalpa, etc.
Okay, so you work very hand in hand with pretty much all the agencies, right? They'll come to you if they need that extra support.
Yeah, a lot of these agencies, they're doing a lot of amazing work getting these, mutual clients, I guess they become of ours, but their focus is on other aspects of getting these clients, going forward in the next path. So our role really is helping with getting them some of those tangible items that they might need to either help stretch the budget, be it that by, helping them get their kids set up with winter outerwear for the upcoming, winter season, or gapping some groceries in their household between food bank orders. We're working with all these agencies, the food bank, Women and Children's Shelter. So that is more our role as kind of a support to the work that these other agencies are doing.
It's grown so much in such a short amount of time. It doesn't feel short because we had COVID, but when you first started the Facebook group, it was just a way for people to connect during such a weird time. Did you think that it would grow this far?
No, I mean, I had zero plans when I initially launched the Facebook group way back in March of 2020. So it has really been very much an organic evolution from day to day, month to month, year to year now. And it's just, it became obvious to us as we sat in this role hosting a very busy, engaged, active Facebook group. We get a sense of the pulse of what's going on, and we had the ability to see where some of these gaps were appearing in our system. I think Barrie is very fortunate. We have an amazing array of agencies out there doing amazing work, but inevitably there are people that are falling through gaps, whether it's accessibility to some of these services. They physically can't get themselves to access some of the services they need, or just it not being enough. It's no secret that inflation is risen. The cost of everything is on the rise, and people's, ODSP checks and OW checks have not increased accordingly. So everyone's budgets are really, really stretched. So we're noticing a huge rise in the needs of people and just the basics, right? Groceries and making sure their kids are properly clothed for the seasons that we have in this part of the world.
And the clothing drive is going to be starting up pretty soon, I'm assuming.
Yeah, we'll be launching that actually the beginning of October. We're looking forward to working with a bunch of repeat community partners to be donation drive spots, and we'll be announcing all of that very, very soon.
Appreciate your time this morning. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
That was Nikki Glenn, the founder of Barrie Families Unite.
What Barrie's Talking About is a weekly podcast featuring the best Barrie has to offer and more. You can make it easy to connect by subscribing to What Barrie's Talking About through podcast distributors such as Apple and Spotify. Still to come on What Barrie's Talking About, zoom, 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 middle of the night motor mania in Barrie. And if you have an electric vehicle on your radar, we get answers to some questions from the CAA. Now this.
This is your cool concert listing.
Hey there, this is Amy with this week's cool concert listings. Jimmy Eat World comes to History in Toronto, September 29th. Bryan Adams comes to the Scotiabank Arena October 5th. October 12th, Scotiabank Arena also welcomes Michael Bublé and his Higher Tour 2022. Måneskin arrives to History in Toronto November 21st and November 22nd. Bare Naked Ladies just announced that they'll be at Casino Rama Resort November 25th. Sarah McLachlan will be at Casino Rama Resort also on November 26th. And on November 26th, 3 Days Grace will be at the Sadlon Arena. For ticket information and for details, you can head over to 1075coolfm.com.
Stay up to date at 1075coolfm.com.
This is What Barrie's Talking About from Barrie 360. I'm Dan Blakely. Social media lit up early Monday morning when Barrie residents were awakened from their sleep by the squealing of tires and the echo of a throaty muffler or two on streets all over town. Posters wondering how anyone could stoop so low and why police haven't done something about it. Not that easy, as it turns out, and the penalties are not much of a deterrent. Here again is Ian McLennan with Barrie Police Communications Coordinator Peter Leon.
How challenging is it for police to, keep up with these people, these drivers?
You know what? It is a challenge, and we know as a police service, and this is one of the most frequent concerns that we hear from our community, is how disruptive and disrespectful it is for people to have to listen to these vehicles revving their engines in such a way that it causes this significant amount of noise. And first of all, I think it's important, our community has to understand, and I'm sure that they do, that they're not the only ones who are experiencing this. And this is a problem that is it's widespread right across Ontario, and we know right across our country as well. And it's something that police services are having a challenge with. It's one thing to be able to receive a call for service with some information that provides us a license plate. In many cases, people have called in hearing the loud noise and how disruptive it is.
Now, Peter, if it's illegal to drive with certain aftermarket parts installed, why is it legal to sell them, though, or can they be sold?
Modifications to vehicles have been something that people do and have been doing forever, ever since cars came on the road way back when. If you want to have something done as simple as tinting your windows, you can have it done. But again, there are laws contained within the Highway Traffic Act of Ontario that are very specific when it comes to equipment and modifications that can be made. And if you remove the muffler and run what's referred to as a straight pipe under there, it's going to create a loud resonating noise that is going to reverberate off of houses as that vehicle travels down the street. And right now, under the Highway Traffic Act, there is a fine of $110 for that offense, but there are no demerit points assessed to it. It is not a moving violation, which is very different than if you were to roll through a stop sign, go through a stoplight, or even be found not wearing your seatbelt.
Would demerit points, you can't speak for those behind the wheel that are doing it, but would it make a difference? Have you heard from your police chief or others that might need to be explored by the province?
Well, we're very fortunate that in Ontario we do have the Ontario Association of Chiefs of Police, and I can pretty much guarantee that this is a topic that they have been discussing as well. It may be necessary to approach the government of Ontario and see if there's something that can be done to hold these people more accountable. Certainly when demerit points are assessed to an individual's driving record, that is something that the insurance company sees and gets reflected on insurance rates from one year to the next. So, that's something that may be discussed at a higher level. But in the meantime, we're doing everything that we can to try to locate these individuals where we can and charge them. But again, we respect the fact that, quality of life is very important, but our focus always is on public safety. And regrettably, we do have calls for service that are perhaps a little bit more stressing at times, where personal safety is being compromised, that we have to attend to those calls before we can deal with noisy vehicles.
And Peter, you had some calls to Barrie Police regarding incident overnight, maybe one or more vehicles, people being awakened by this sort of thing?
Yes, we did. And it occurred within about an hour and a half period from about 12:30 right through to about 2 a.m. And then the calls dissipated from there onward. But again, there was very little that can be done without a license plate number. If we have an officer in the area and they are not tied up on a call for service, obviously they can listen and try to point themselves in the right direction. But sometimes this can be a game of almost like cat and mouse, where you can hear it and you point yourself in the right direction, and by the time you get over into that area, the vehicle could have very well moved on into another area as well. There's a lot of things going on out there, and I think people have to respect the fact that operating a motor vehicle in the province of Ontario, it's a privilege. It's not a right, it's a privilege. And the Highway Traffic Act does allow police officers the ability to lay charges when laws are broken, and we will continue to do so. We've seen incidents in other communities, and we've certainly seen evidence of it in parking lots in our own community here, and intersections where individuals have decided, this is a perfect place to take their vehicle, drive at a high rate of speed, create a great pile of smoke from their tires, and they think that that's great to post on social media. Well, you know what? Those individuals are being identified, and those individuals are being charged. We've seen it in other jurisdictions, and if we continue to see it in our community, we will continue to do the same as well. But I think that it's important also that the community understands that, policing in Simcoe County here is seamless. And we have neighbors and law enforcement all around us that are more than happy to come to our assistance as they have in the past. And through this incredible initiative that we do have, it's called Erase, which is Eliminate Racing Activity on Streets Everywhere. And Barrie Police belongs to that, as do a number of services such as York Region, Peel, Toronto, OPP. We're able to call upon those resources to come and assist us the same way that we go and assist them. Policing is teamwork, and we work very, very well with our partners, and through these collaborative efforts, we are trying our best to make a difference in our community.
That's Barrie Police Communications Coordinator Peter Leon in conversation with Barrie 360's Ian McLennan. From the rip-roaring gas guzzler to the silent-running electric vehicle, many people thinking about making the leap with the high price of gasoline, but many questions and concerns remain. CAA keeping a close eye on the advent of the EV, always with the best interest of the motoring public at the fore. Teresa de Felice joins me from CAA Government and Community Relations. Teresa, are these things worth all the hype?
Well, they're definitely a big part of the solution when it comes to transportation impact on emissions into the environment. There's still a lot of research and development that is going on to address, some of the things that concern people, but they're showing promising signs to alleviating the biggest concern, which is GHG emissions.
There are a lot of concerns for a lot of people, and some people who say that they're not as environmentally friendly as they're made out to be due to the mining that has to go on for the components for the batteries and then disposal of the batteries as well. What have you heard about that?
In terms of what scientists sort of have said is there is supply, but we also know that there's a lot of research and development going on to sort of determine whether there are alternatives or how to reduce sort of some of those issues related to the making of the batteries themselves. And so that's an ongoing process. It is a smaller part in terms of a vehicle's impact on the environment.
All right. You talk about all the research and development going on because there are all these concerns, yet we seem to be pushing. Governments seem to be pushing these through and demanding that we be driving them in the next few years. Are we moving too fast, maybe?
I don't know that we're moving too fast. I think that, the environmental concerns are sort of what's driving some of the things like mandates that are being announced and discussed. I think the infrastructure is still a little bit of a challenge. Like if you live in large urban areas, there's definitely more infrastructure, although improvements still need to be made. When you get out of those large urban centers or in other parts of the country, is it there? Not quite yet. And I think that's something that needs to be part of the discussion. I think there's a lot of stakeholders who have raised, are we ready if everybody turned around and bought an electric vehicle as their next vehicle, in the next year? And that still needs some work.
And I've heard people talk about power outages and running out of electricity. They get stuck in a big traffic jam somewhere or stuck in the snow in the wintertime, and all of a sudden they've got no power. What do they do then?
Yeah, so power impact and sort of the electricity grid is something that is being discussed. I mean, yes, we're seeing that in the U.S. There were some warnings about charging your electric vehicle. I think specifically here in Ontario, right? In terms of the manufacturing process, we're not coal generated in terms of making the car. When you look at a regular internal combustion engine vehicle, there are definitely gas stations everywhere. And so, we still have to figure out some of the infrastructure to make it as equitable for an electric vehicle. And the impact on the electrical grid and whether the infrastructure is up to date needs to be part of the conversation. I know that there are a lot of concerns. I think that, when it comes to people buying them, it is definitely a thought process that has to go in because you have to look at your own driving habits. You have to look at what's available to you in terms of, setting up the right mechanisms in your home to either charge or, charge on the go. And if you're out and about, it's not something you just easily jump into and just going and test driving a car and getting the keys and that's it. So, this is something that is definitely a work in progress.
Do you have numbers in terms of how much somebody would save by having an electric car as opposed to a gas-powered vehicle in terms of how far you can drive on a charge, that kind of thing? Like, how much money are people going to save if they invest in one of these?
People sort of always look at the upfront costs. And, of course, again, there's still, work to be done in terms of bringing down the cost of an electric vehicle. But, you're not doing regular oil changes. A lot of the maintenance comes out of the equation. So, that saves people some of those costs.
I've heard batteries are expensive to replace, very expensive in some cases, but I guess you're saving money in the lead up to when you have to replace a battery.
Yeah, I mean, when electric vehicles first came out, there was like, how long are these things really going to last, right? Like, there was there's warranties and, are they only going to last 10 years? And then what do you do if you tend to be a person who owns your vehicle for longer than 10 years? what we're seeing is that the batteries are lasting in some cases, in a lot of cases, longer than, originally anticipated. Electric vehicles are now getting the same kind of lifespan that other vehicles get. So there's also a used car market for electric vehicles.
Are you driving one?
Not yet.
But you're looking at one?
It definitely would be something, in the next vehicle purchase that I think is worthwhile looking at. I live in an urban center. I don't do a lot of long distance driving in the summer, but we are a one-car family household. And so, what we're seeing is sometimes two-car family households are finding that having one of those vehicles as an electric vehicle definitely is a more enticing option. Or people who are just sort of, not really doing the cottage thing. But even the range on these vehicles is growing. Originally they were around a couple hundred kilometers. You can buy models now that are 500 and 600 kilometer ranges.
You mentioned resources, places people can go to get more information. I suspect there's a whole bevy of information at CAA's website.
Yes, if you go to evbuyersguide.caa.ca, this is a bit of a one-stop shop on learning about whether an EV is right for you.
Teresa, thanks so much for the insight. Hopefully we've helped some people get over the hump here.
Absolutely.
Teresa de Felice is Assistant Vice President of Government and Community Relations for CAA South Central Ontario. That website again to see if you and an EV are a good fit is evbuyersguide.caa.ca. And that'll do it for another week. Thanks to MJ, Ian, and Amy for their contributions, and to Matt Ladder for pulling it together technically. If you like what you've heard, please subscribe to What Barrie's Talking About, rate it, review it. You can also keep up with What Barrie's Talking About on Facebook and Twitter at Barrie360 and on our website, Barrie360.com. I'm Dan Blakely. Hope you'll join us again next week for What Barrie's Talking About.